It's just the ice maker. Our ice maker started working randomly after like 8 months of not working, and like when it drops, he gets freaked out. Are you calm now? Are you gonna sit there or are you gonna film with me? You cannot jump from there to there. You can go on the floor and then jump on the couch. If I invite you on the couch, you better not jump from there onto here. That's very dangerous. Don't do it. Don't do it. I promise you, there will be consequences. You will be in a big, big timeout. Come here. Stinky breath. All right, well, we can't seem to find a spot that is comfortable for us both. You guys might hear his snoring, but you know, he's a pug, he snores. Anyway, I am back, obviously joined by my trusty pug pudge, who I'm not going to touch or else he's going to try and jump on me again. But yep, we're back and I am determined, seriously this time, to have a video that is under 40 minutes. Just to cut to the chase, I'm going to be showing you 8 plants today, and all 8 plants were brought into my life because of Instagram. I feel like at one point or another, all of us have been kind of influenced by Instagram, social media in general, whether it's plants that we didn't know existed or plants that like we initially were like, oh, it's all right, but then as it kept being shoved down our throats and as they became more trendy, you felt like maybe I do want it. So 4 of the plants today are going to be plants that Instagram influenced me to buy, that lived up to my expectations, and then the other 4 will be the ones that fell short. So I think I'm gonna go back and forth between the good and meh, instead of like lumping them from the beginning and then doing like another category at the end, just to give it a little bit of interest throughout the video. So yeah, I'm just gonna bring out the first plant. We're gonna get through this in 40 minutes and under, I swear. First plant that made my list of ones that met my expectations is this HOYA OBOVATA. I truly cannot even begin to tell you guys how freaking much I love this plant. Like honestly, I think this is, it's my favorite HOYA. I think like there are a lot of things I really love about those like crusty, dusty, nasty dumpster HOYAs. There are also great things about the fuzzy HOYAs and the very small nickel shaped trailing HOYAs that I find so beautiful. But I think the reason this makes my list for number 1 of my all-time favorite HOYAs is because, for one, it is so easy. Like this is literally the easiest HOYA in my collection besides the HOYA Wyetii. I'll say that this HOYA and the Wyetii are the easiest to care for, and they're the ones that grow the fastest. Along with that, I just love the shape of these. One of the first HOYAs that I ever really liked was the HOYA Carrii Splash. I just love like the heart shape, and I don't know, I've always really loved that plant, but every time I saw them sold in stores, like pre-2020, they were always that freaking single leaf HOYA that would never grow. And so it wasn't until Instagram that I began seeing like really big trailing or climbing HOYA Carrii, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're so pretty. But it wasn't until the OBOVATA that I was like, I think I like this more, because I have a thing for the round leaves, and it's not just round, but they're like poofy and they're thick and they're firm and they're delicious. And I just cannot, seriously, I cannot get over this plant. And I know that I don't have the splashiest HOYA, but I kind of love that about it. It's just very like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just the perfect amount of splash, and I just love when all of these leaves are like clumped together. And I love it even more now that it's climbing a trellis. Ever since I got it onto this Arka trellis, the freaking roots coming out of this thing are just insane. I've never seen so many aerial roots on this, and I'm gonna give it probably, I don't know, maybe this is like wishful thinking. I can kind of see one root here that looks like it wants to start like wrapping around this trellis. I will scream if it wraps around this trellis. By the way, these are the Arka trellises. I will link it in the description. Amazing. It's like invisible. It's perfection. So anyway, yeah, Hoya OBOVATA, definitely one that met my expectations. I always thought that I would really love a trailing Hoya, but ever since getting it onto this trellis, I feel like I'm just enjoying it even more now that like half of it is climbing and then half of it will be sort of trailing out. I really hope that I continue to have good luck with this thing, because I would truly be devastated if this one ever took a dump. I feel like photos didn't even really do this plant justice when I first saw it. Like, I knew that it was cute and I knew I had to have it and I knew that I loved it, but I really did not know how amazing it would be to grow it and to have it in person and to watch it just sort of like turn into like a tree basically. I don't know if you guys can see it from here, but there is new growth everywhere. There are new leaves everywhere. It is just popping off. #1 Hoya in my collection. If I could only keep one Hoya out of all my Hoyas, this is my guy. So we are going to be switching to the other side of the list now. So this is the first plant that made it on my list of plants that did not meet my expectation. And that one is the MICROSORUM Thailandicum. And it's so funny. I'm looking at it in person, but then I'm looking at it in the viewfinder and it looks so much better in the viewfinder. It's like so much darker and it's picking up so much of the iridescence. So this is not working in my favor actually, but wow, can I have the freaking plant in the viewfinder? What the heck? It's so strange. Just literally see two different plants. Okay, well guys, trust me, it's on the viewfinder, it's picking up a little bit more blue and I can see that like iridescence and shine, and it looks darker in the viewfinder. What the heck is happening? Okay, well, if you could see it in person, it's definitely more like washed out. It's lighter green in person. What you're seeing right now, that's fake. It's not real. I got this, I don't remember when I would have acquired it, but I think that Kaylee Ellen posted about this plant one time and then it just like exploded in sales, I guess, or like they just started floating around the plant community and people were selling so many of them all of a sudden. And I actually don't watch Kaylee Ellen, no tea, nothing. It's just I really don't watch plant YouTube. I only watch plant YouTubers that I know. So no tea, no shade against Kaylee Ellen, but I had heard that she posted about this plant and then everybody was like looking for it. They started being sold like crazy in our local market, and my friend, oh my god, my voice is going out. My friend Nessa picked one up for me. I actually didn't even know she was gonna get me one. She just like came by and gave it to me. It's funny because the first leaf that she gave me on this plant was so dark blue. It looked like a mermaid, and I was like, oh my gosh, this plant is everything. And if you guys look at photos of it on Instagram and just wherever, I don't know if it's because it picks up differently on camera. Like I can't even explain to you guys right now how different it looks in the viewfinder compared to what it looks like in real life. So look at the color of the backs, like how it's like lighter green. That's what it looks like to me in person, the front. You are deceptive. So when I started doing research on this plant, I was just blown away at like all of the photos I was seeing, because it literally looked like an alien, like something that is not of this earth. And I just could not wait for mine to get a lot bigger. And it's like every new growth that I would get, it was like really light green, and I feel like it wasn't sort of hardening off to like that dark bluish color with like the hints of like purple and stuff that I was seeing online. And I will tell you that it has gotten a lot better since I removed it from bright light. It's literally sitting in my darkest exo at the very bottom, shaded by all these plants, so it is almost not getting any light at all. And it has darkened up a lot. Before, the leaves, all of the leaves were like really just green, and it kind of just looked like a regular fern. sort of like this new one here, like they were that color. So it's not that I don't love this plant. I obviously really like it because I still have it. It's grown so much. I really thought that I was not going to last like a month with this thing, but it's been very steady. It's been very easy. I'm not gonna lie. I am not historically good with ferns. I have killed so many ferns. I love ferns so much, but they don't like me, and I just don't know how to care for them. So didn't have a lot of faith with this one, but she's still here. She has been so much easier than any other kind of fern that I've had. And yeah, I do really like it. It's not that I don't like these plants that I'm showing you. It's just that what I saw online was just so different to what I have and sort of what I expected from the plant. I definitely do not ever intend to sell this or give it away. I actually quite like seeing it in my EXO. I just wish it looked like what you guys are looking at right now. But seriously, in person, it's so much lighter. This is so deceptive. I'm kind of upset because you guys are gonna be like, what the hell's wrong with you? You're so ungrateful. Anyway, MICROSORUM thailandicum. This is a plant that I like, but did not quite meet my expectations. All right, I was too lazy to grab the bigger one. I actually have 2 plants of these. You could see it behind me, it's right here. But it's heavy. She's all the way up there. So the one that did meet my expectations and exceeded all expectations I ever had for this plant is the RHIPSALIS PARADOXA minor. I know there's another name for it and people always call me out for calling it the wrong name, but I can't remember what the name is. There are certain like plant names, especially Hoyas, that literally float in and out of my acorn the second that I hear it. So it does not stay. This is a separation from my main plant over there. The only reason I separated it is because I wanted to have one for multiple rooms. I wanted one in my bedroom and then I wanted the one in the living room. But yeah, this one is freaking incredible, you guys. Like, I love trailing plants. I don't love plants that are like string of turtles, string of hearts, string of spades, like those kinds. I'm not really into like the very thin trailing ones with like the dainty little leaves. I like the weirdo trailing ones, the RHIPSALIS bassifera, the RHIPSALIS salicornioides, the regular Paradoxa. What other trailing guys do I like? Oh my god, my neck. Oh, the Cissus quadrangularis, you know, the weirdos. I actually didn't know this one existed. I knew that the RHIPSALIS Paradoxa existed. That's one that I originally saw on Instagram. And then it wasn't until, oh gosh, who posted it? Someone posted it on Instagram, or maybe it ended up on my Explore page. And I was like, oh, that RHIPSALIS Paradoxa looks so skinny. Like, it looks so weird, and not weird, but like it just looks so different. And so then I just went down this rabbit hole of the RHIPSALIS Paradoxa minor, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need this plant. I noticed that most of the people that were posting this on Instagram were like from South America and even Europe. Like, there's a lot of cool RHIPSALIS floating around Europe, and they're just like at regular grocery stores, which is so cool. But yeah, I had no clue where to get this. I got lucky with my RHIPSALIS Paradoxa from a local collector here. More people have been importing RHIPSALIS, but the prices are still kind of crazy. But yeah, I feel like I definitely lucked out with this because I managed to snag the big pot from Vandula Farms. And then I also bought a second plant from my friend Ray, who I think imported it. But when I saw this on Instagram, all I wanted to do was do this. Like, just give it a little stroke, you know, just. It's very serotonin inducing. My first ever experience with like having some kind of mental or like emotional stimulation from, that sounds wrong, but you know what I mean? Like, when I first sort of stroked an Anthurium vitarifolium, I was slain. I couldn't be resuscitated. I was like, plants are my life. I will give my life to plants. So yeah, I like the trailing guys not only for the way they look, but like because of how they feel. Like these feel so nice. I know they're not like velvety, they're not soft and fuzzy, but there's something about being able to just like feel a plant like this that I feel like only we would understand it. And if you don't understand it, I think you'll get there. You'll get there. This 100% met my expectations, and it actually exceeded my expectations. And truly, if I could get my hands on more of this at a reasonable price, I would do it in a freaking heartbeat, because I would love to have, like, my dream is to have one of those like hanging baskets from the ceiling, and then just having a humongous RHIPSALIS coming out of the basket 360. You guys see those on Instagram, right? Like, man, I just want to like stand under it and just twirl around with my arms out. I'm sorry, I'm very mentally unwell. So anywho, RHIPSALIS PARADOXA minor, one of my pride and joys. We are going to the other side of the list now. The next one is the Philodendron Genevievieanum. So I will admit that I think that I got sucked into this plant mainly from Instagram photos that were probably highly edited, because all of the Genevievieanums that I had seen on Instagram were like much darker. And I don't know if it's just my growing conditions or what, but all of my leaves have sort of been more of this limey color, and I'm not super into, especially the ones that have like smooth leaves. I would much prefer like a much darker leaf. But I guess in photos it just looked darker, and it looked like it would even be kind of velvety a little bit, and that the leaf would be a bit thicker. And when Alice and I purchased this from the EcoGener show, it was like a really, really mature specimen. This is actually, I think this is the bottom cutting, and the leaf looked thicker. I don't know, I don't know if it is because of the maturity or what, but when I saw it in the package, I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. But then it was just kind of underwhelming the moment that I unpackaged it. I think because I realized sort of how thin the leaves were, and I'm just not super into like the shiny thin leafed philodendrons that kind of, I don't know, it really just depends what kind of plant it is, because like for example the Philodendron heterocraspidon, that one has a thick or a thin leaf as well, but the way the venation is kind of gives it little puffs, and it gives it like that pillowy look almost. And then the leaves are slightly darker, and the leaf isn't like velvety, but it sort of has like a matte feeling to it, whereas this is very like shiny and just super smooth. Yeah, I was a little bit just sort of meh at the texture of it, meh at the color of it, and I don't know, like these, I think after having the serpens and the squamic qual, these like fuzzy petioles are just kind of underwhelming for me. So it's not that I hate this plant. I still have it for a reason. I really love the ribbing of this. I do like the leaf shape. I like actually how easy this has been. This is probably one of the easiest plants I've ever acclimatized. It's one of the easiest plants I've ever grown. These leaves were actually this big without a pole. I only recently got it onto a pole, and you can see the first root sort of pop in on it. So in that sense, I do appreciate how sort of easygoing it is, and again, I really like the texture, but it's just, I feel like it had way more appeal on Instagram, and it kind of swindled me a little bit, but I still have it. She's not going anywhere. I do plan to see this through. Lauren has a really, really big Genevievieanum, which is beautiful, and again, even the super mature ones in person is just like, oh, that's a nice plant, but not one that I would like faint over, you know? So we'll see. I mean, I really want to see how large I can grow this, which is why I have it on a pole now, and I'm actually trying, but not as great in real life as I feel they look in photos. Switching gears again, going to a plant that did meet my expectations. Good old Sinningia leucotricha. I feel like no photo, no video, nothing will ever do this plant justice. Like, I really can't even begin to explain to you how fuzzy and soft these are. It's like, imagine the softest bunny rabbit in the world. Like, it literally feels like you're touching an animal. It does not feel like a plant whatsoever. When I first saw this on Instagram, I was like, there is no freaking way like it could be that fuzzy. Like, I feel like it's like heavily photoshopped, or just the way the photo is edited and the way the light is hitting the leaf. It probably is fuzzy, but doesn't like feel that fuzzy. But no, like, they are just so freaking fuzzy, like a teddy bear. And even the stems are fuzzy, like the back seals are fuzzy. Every part of this plant is fuzzy besides the little testicle it came from. I used to have a larger one and the leaves were probably like double the size, and I'm telling you guys, it was so soft and fuzzy, I just wanted to like shove it in my mouth. I don't know how else to like explain to you guys the feeling I got. It's like cute aggression. I just wanted to like crumple it up and just take it to Pound Town. Oh no, that's no, bad reference. Every time I post this plant on Instagram, I always get one comment that's like, is it really that fuzzy? And I always say, no, it's not. It's fuzzier. It's fuzzier than it looks. Like, you have to get one. And I don't know what the availability is for a plant like this where you guys live, but if you can find one, not even if you don't like the way it looks, like if you're just into like Hoyas or you're into like big pillowy philodendrons, it does not matter. You don't have to have this plant just for the looks and to have it on display. Just have it to grow so that when you have a bad day and your freelance client gives you a contract at 10 p.m. the night before and then wants it finished at noon the next day, you can just smile and you can walk over to where you keep your Sinningia leucotricha and you could just go like this and close your eyes. And everything will be okay. It's really like, don't tell Pudge this, but it's softer than him. It's softer than his ears, and his ears are like the softest things in the whole world. And this is like 10 times softer. Like, if I could have like a pillow that feels exactly like this, or you know, like those, you know what I've really been wanting is those squishmallows. I think that would be good for my depression and anxiety. Oh, or those like weighted stuffed animals. But it like the outside felt like this. Oh. I think I'm onto something here. But anyway, quick highlight on the Sinningia leucotricha. I told you this one's gonna be a short one. I'm determined. But yeah, you gotta get it. Again, even if you don't like the way it looks, you have to have it just for the way it feels. It will make any bad day better. I guarantee it, or your money back. And again, switching to the side of plants that did not meet my expectations. This might surprise some people who really, really love this plant, but it's the Philodendron El Choco Red for me. When I first sort of got into the world of imported aroids, this was one of the first ones I ever saw. And I don't know if it's because it was like trendy at that time when I had first gotten into this side of the hobby, but it was everywhere. And I remember just seeing humongous specimens of it. And I was like, if I ever saw one in real life, I think I might pass away. I think that when I first got my El Choco, it was an import and they were kind of in rough shape. And I don't know what it was, but when I saw it in person, I was like, wow, that's like really big and beautiful. But I wasn't like blown away. I didn't have butterflies. I didn't have that feeling that I first felt when I saw a photo of this. And I really don't know why. Like, I really can't tell you why. It's not that it doesn't look like the photos. Like, they look exactly like the photos. But I guess I don't really know what I was expecting. I don't know if I thought that the leaves were going to be fuzzier or more velvety or what, but like, I've had really, really big specimens and I've had really, really teeny specimens. Like, this one started as a stem cutting. You can see how little one of these leaves are. We are getting a lot bigger, but still kind of, you know, in the preteen phase. Like when I started planning this video and I was thinking about why I felt this way about the El Choco, I was like, maybe it's because since then I've had so many other like round, big, pillowy philodendrons that in my opinion are a lot nicer than this one. But like I go back to when I first got into like this side of the hobby, like this was one of the first ones that I had seen in person. My sister actually had an El Choco red before me. I think she got hers in like early 2019 or maybe it was even 2018. But yeah, when I saw it in person, I was just like, oh, well, that wasn't really what I was expecting. It's a very confusing thing for me because yeah, like it's not that the photos were misrepresented. It's not that it didn't look like what I thought. It really did look like what I thought, but I guess it just felt more underwhelming to have it in person. I don't know why, but you know, it is a beautiful, beautiful philodendron. I just love how the backs are just like this pinky red color, and you know, it's got like that muted sort of dark leaf color. I don't ever plan on getting rid of this thing. This one was a gift from a friend, or it was a trade with a friend, my friend Hannah, and so it has like sentimental meaning to me. But I definitely thought that I would be more in awe when I first owned this plant, and I just didn't quite ever get there. All right, so this is the last plant on the plants that did live up to my expectation. And I have two plants to show you for this one. And I think maybe you guys might know what it is. Any guesses? I'll give you some time. Philodendron SP Colombia. Some of you knew it was coming. It's the trendy plant of 2022. Don't mind the fact that it got burned by my grow lights. I feel like I need like an area of the house specifically dedicated to my SP Columbias because for one, they don't even require that high of humidity. They don't need a ton of light, and I don't even know why I have these taking up space in exos when they don't even want it. So anyway, when I first saw this plant, I think the first Instagram I ever saw this on was my friend Terrence's account, Plantstica. And I think I would have seen it also on Tropical Headquarters and maybe even RHIPSALIS, or I can't remember. I really can't remember. It was one of their accounts that I saw it and I was like, excuse me, what is that? I initially really liked this plant because it reminded me of the, I think it's like round or dark form or something Plowmanii. You know, the ones that like are just so pillowy and round and they have like really deep sunken invenation, like very similar to this. I have not been able to find one of those, but it's one that is still on my like want list. But it just reminded me so much of that, but one that is like a little bit more heart-shaped and then very silvery. There was nothing that I disliked about this plant, absolutely nothing, and I just knew I had to have it. Yeah, I will say that in person, it literally made my jaw drop. Like, it just lived up to every expectation I had of it. It looked exactly like the photos. I didn't expect it to feel this way, and I'll say that photos don't do justice of how the leaf feels. It feels so like buttery and smooth and matte. It's not that like shiny matte like the Genevievieanum. It's like a matty matte, like matty matte, you know? And it almost feels like, yeah, like a very thin, soft suede, or like, I don't know, guys. Explaining plant textures are definitely not my strength, but I try. And then this is the other one that I recently got from Lauren, and maybe I should bring this one back. I've already shown the differences between the different, like I guess, forms of the SP Silver or SP Columbia in my, I think it's my easiest philodendrons video, but like you can see how different these look. Like they're so different. They're, where's the other leaf? Did I show you this one already? Like look at that. That one looks more like the Ploumanii. Anywho, so Alice actually received whatever this form of SP Columbia SP Silver is in our last import, and I just knew I had to have one, and I knew that if she got one, then there were probably more floating around. And sure enough, Lauren had a bunch in her shop, and I dug through them all and I found the bestest, pillowiest one. I had actually not seen this form of SP Silver or SP Columbia until Alice got the one that she had, and then I started seeing them pop up a little bit more on Instagram. But regardless, this is one that I did not know existed until I saw it on Instagram, and it just blew my mind. And I feel like this is one philodendron that every philodendron lover should have. In my experience, they're very, very easygoing. The only thing I'll say is that they easily get burned by grow lights or just light in general. So I'm still trying to figure out sort of the perfect environmental situation for all of them, because they've pretty much gotten burned in every place I've put them in. So I do have my main SP Columbia sitting on the top of my Redsta now that is far away from light and is being shielded by literally a wall of crystal mags. But man, this one is just like so puffy and just not really much else to say about this. I will say that if you've been seeing them in photos and just seeing them online and weren't sure if it was worth the hype, I'm sorry, but it is. It's a trendy plant for a reason, you know, it's freaking amazing. This is definitely a plant that I would happily hoard multiples of. It's just space and time is definitely becoming an issue these days, but should I get another opportunity to import another one, I would probably do it in a hot second. And for the grand finale, I feel like people will probably see this and disagree with me. And I don't blame you. I still kind of am, I'm confused about my relationship with this plant. But here's the last plant that did not quite meet my expectations. Sorry for this squeaky couch. The Philodendron Patriciae. I actually know exactly why I kind of got off on the wrong foot with this one, or why I felt like it was more appealing through photos. So when I first imported this one don't ask me about timelines, I don't really know, but when I first imported this plant, I guess I was expecting a Patriciae that were the ones that you see in photos, the one with like lots of ribbing, and it was so dark and just, they look so pillowy, kind of like the Heterocraspidon. And then when it arrived, it was like really, really tiny and the leaves looked like this. And I was like, this does not look like a Patriciae, or this does not look like the Patriciae that I thought I was gonna get. So the first thing, besides like visually, like it not looking like, you know, a nice juicy Patriciae, the leaves, the thinness of these leaves really, really threw me off, because in every photo I've seen of a Patriciae, they look like they have a little bit of cushion to them, you know, they look like they could be thicker, or they look like they're much thicker, like they'd be like you could squish them, but they're like paper thin. They're so thin. Yeah, I was thrown off. I was just like, wow, this thing does not feel like I thought it was gonna feel. And not only that, for some reason in photos, I always felt like it had sort of a matte, like a buttery matte texture, and wasn't like this super shiny, glossy, like smooth texture. I don't know. Like I almost felt like I got the wrong plant or something. I was like, are we sure this is a Patriciae? But you know, of course I had a juvenile specimen, and you can kind of see on this new leaf that more of that ribbing is coming through and the features of the Patriciae. But again, it's just so paper thin, and I don't really get any boost of serotonin when I feel these leaves, and the feeling of leaves and the textures of leaves has so much influence on what I love in a plant. Because for me, touching plants is just as sort of important as the way it looks. I feel like a lot of us are that way. I know that it can't just be me, but I still am not in love with this plant. And I've tried, like I've really tried to like tell myself like it's gonna be like a big beautiful Patriciae, but you know, like Jing imported a Patriciae from Ecuador. She got it from like the live sale, and it was huge. It was like the size of my body, but even just feeling that big leaf, it did nothing for me. I feel like if the Patriciae looked or felt like they look in the pictures and were just a little bit thicker, just a little bit thicker, and just had a little bit more of like a matte feeling to it, I think that that would change my feelings about this plant drastically, because just the feeling of these leaves do absolutely nothing for me. And I even took a photo of this on Instagram, and the photo looks better or is more appealing to me than the plant in real life. So again, it just goes back to being influenced on Instagram based on edited photos. And oh my gosh, there's like fuzz all over my lipstick. But yeah, I mean, she's still with me because I obviously want to see how large I can grow this thing. It honestly should be so much bigger now. Like, this is the size of the import leaves, and it never really got any bigger. I gave Alice the teeny tiniest little stem cutting, and hers is like, I think hers is like way bigger than mine, and I took the top cutting. I don't know, I feel like I've neglected this thing before, like for so long, and it wasn't until very recently that I tried to get it into a better situation. So yeah, it kind of seems like it's getting bigger. Obviously, like this leaf is pretty sizable in comparison to like this one where it has like no ribbing, no real Patriciae features. Maybe my thoughts and my feelings will change as this matures, just because I have had that experience before where I didn't really love a plant until I started growing it for a long period of time and just watching it go from a little thing to like a nice big thing, and you just kind of establish that emotional connection because you've seen it grow so much. So I don't know, this could be one of them, but as it stands at this moment, it's just one of those plants that I have that I want to see grow bigger, but it's not one that I'm like super excited when I see new growth. It's not one that I'm like I want to touch every day and that I want to like take photos of all the time. But you know, I am grateful to have it. I did pay what I feel was way too much money for this, so we're gonna see it through, and hopefully this thing gets like as long as my legs soon, which is unfortunately not that long. Anyway, that is it from me. I'm so tired. I don't know if you guys can see it in my face. I feel like my face is like falling. It's like thank you guys for watching today's video. Hopefully it was a short one. Please be a short one. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it was very short and sweet. I honestly feel so strange filming a video this short. I almost feel like I'm like robbing you guys, but I'm done. Whoa, weird. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, because it helps Pudge and I a lot on YouTube. Thank you guys for watching another upload. Thank you to all of the old and the new subscribers, and I will see you in the next one.